Have you ever stopped to think that when most people imagine trains, they picture something slow, boring, and predictable, just rolling quietly from one place to another? But what if I told you that hidden in railway history are machines so massive, so extreme, that they feel more like moving cities than locomotives? Machines so big they bent the rules of engineering, forced railways to rebuild tracks, as scared engineers who first stood next to them. You're about to discover the biggest locomotives ever built, and chances are you didn't even know most of them existed. Stay with me because each one gets more unbelievable than the last. And by the end, you'll be questioning how these monsters ever moved at all. Let's start in the frozen north, where survival isn't optional, and machines either work or die. Picture endless snow, brutal winds, and temperatures so low metal can crack. That's where one of the most powerful electric locomotives ever built was born. The IORE locomotive from Scandinavia doesn't just look big, it feels unstoppable. It was designed to haul iron ore through northern Sweden and Norway, across a line where winter lasts most of the year. This locomotive isn't one unit, it's two permanently connected machines working as one. Together, they stretch longer than a basketball court and weigh close to 800,000 pounds. When you stand next to it, you don't feel like you're near a train. You feel like you're standing beside a steel wall. What makes this locomotive special isn't just its size. It's what it does every single day without complaint. The IORE produces over 10,000 horsepower using clean electric energy from hydroelectric plants. That power lets it pull ore trains weighing thousands of tons through snowstorms that would stop almost anything else. The designers didn't care about elegance. They cared about reliability. Thick frames, massive motors, and weight distribution so precise it grips icy rails like claws. Even today, it runs daily, proving that sometimes the biggest machines are also the smartest. And here's the crazy part. These locomotives are expected to run for decades, quietly moving the raw materials that power modern life. But as impressive as this Arctic beast is, the next locomotive didn't care about coal. It cared about one thing only. Power. Now, let's jump to the United States. In the 1960s, freight was getting heavier. Distances were getting longer, and railroads wanted fewer locomotives doing more work. Union Pacific decided to celebrate its 100th anniversary not with speeches, but with a monster. That monster was the DDA40X, better known as the Centennial. This thing didn't just push limits, it erased them. Imagine one locomotive with two massive diesel engines inside, both running together. Not two locomotives coupled. One single machine. It stretched nearly 100 feet long and weighed over 500,000 pounds. When it fired up, the sound wasn't loud. It was physical. You could feel it through the ground before you saw it. The Centennial produced 6,600 horsepower, making it the most powerful diesel locomotive ever built. Its job was simple but brutal. Replace two standard locomotives with one. That meant fewer crews, fewer breakdowns, and more efficiency across the vast American West. It hauled endless lines of freight across deserts, mountains, and open plains where the horizon never ends. Engineers loved its strength but feared its complexity. Two engines meant double the maintenance, and when something went wrong, it really went wrong. Still, for years, it ruled the rails like nothing else before it. Some Centennials still exist today, preserved as symbols of a time when railroads believed bigger was always better. But if you think that's extreme, wait until you hear about a locomotive that took the idea of bigger and turned it into obsession. Travel back to the Soviet Union in the 1930s, a time when engineering was as much about pride as performance. The Soviets wanted the largest steam locomotive ever built, no matter the cost or consequences. The result was the AA-20-1, a machine so extreme it still holds records no one has ever beaten. This locomotive had 20 driving wheels. 20. No other steam engine in history ever came close. It was over 135 feet long and weighed more than 500,000 pounds. On paper, it sounded brilliant. Spread the weight, reduce track damage, increase pulling power. In reality, it was a nightmare. The AA-20-1 could barely handle curves. It required special tracks. Maintenance crews struggled constantly. It was powerful, yes, but impractical in almost every way. Only one was ever built, and it never entered full service. Yet, even in failure, it became legendary. Today, it sits in a museum, not as a success story, but as a warning about what happens when ambition outruns reality. Still, seeing it in person is overwhelming. It doesn't look real. It looks like something built to impress the world rather than serve it. But the next locomotive wasn't a failure. It was a masterpiece of steam power that dominated mountains in the rugged Appalachian Mountains. Railroads faced steep grades, sharp curves, and endless coal trains. To solve this, the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway turned to the Lima Locomotive Works. What they got was the Allegheny H8, one of the most powerful steam locomotives ever built. This thing was enormous, stretching over 125 feet and weighing more than 1 million pounds when fully loaded. Its job was to pull coal trains uphill without help, and it did exactly that. Producing around 7,500 horsepower, it could haul loads that previously required multiple engines. The Allegheny wasn't just powerful. It was efficient for its time. It used advanced steam technology and massive driving wheels to convert energy into raw pulling force. When it moved, it sounded like a thunderstorm trapped in steel. Engineers respected it. Rail fans worshipped it. But like many steam giants, its reign was short. Diesel locomotives were coming, and steam was fading fast. Today, only a few Alleghenies survive, preserved as reminders of the absolute peak of steam engineering. And believe it or not, this still isn't the biggest surprise yet. Because the next locomotive looked less like a machine and more like a work of art. Now imagine a locomotive so long, so sleek, and so futuristic that when people first saw it, they didn't believe it was real. In 1939 at the New York World's Fair, the Pennsylvania Railroad unveiled something that looked like it came from the future. It was called the S1, and it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. This wasn't just a train. It was a statement. The S1 stretched nearly 140 feet long and weighed over 575,000 pounds. It was the longest passenger steam locomotive ever built in the United States, and only one was ever made. The S1 was designed for speed and prestige. Underneath its smooth, Art Deco body was a massive steam system capable of pushing the locomotive past 100 miles per hour. That was unheard of for something this big. Its wheel arrangement was strange and rare, designed to balance power and stability at high speeds. But what truly made the S1 unforgettable was how it looked. Industrial designers shaped it with smooth metal curves, hiding most of its mechanical parts. It didn't look like a steam locomotive. It looked like a silver bullet on rails, but beauty came with a price. The S1 was too long, too rigid, too difficult to route through normal rail yards. It performed best on long, straight stretches of track, but struggled everywhere else. Maintenance was expensive, and flexibility was limited. After just a few years, it was retired and eventually scrapped. Yet its legacy lives on. The S1 proved that locomotives could be more than machines. They could be symbols of progress, ambition, and imagination. And speaking of ambition, let's move to a locomotive built to dominate deserts instead of fairgrounds. In the scorching heat of South Africa, steam locomotives faced a serious problem. Water, long stretches of desert, meant refueling stops could cripple operations. To solve this, engineers created something extraordinary. The South African Railway's Class 25 was one of the most advanced steam locomotives ever built. It used a condensing system that recycled steam back into water, allowing it to travel hundreds of miles without refilling. This wasn't just clever, it was revolutionary. The Class 25 was massive, stretching over 110 feet and weighing nearly 500,000 pounds. But its size wasn't for show. Inside, it carried complex piping, condensers, and reinforced systems that let it survive brutal heat. Visually, it looked futuristic, with a tender that resembled a streamlined rail car instead of a traditional coal wagon. For years, it hauled freight and passengers across harsh terrain where no other steam engine could survive. Even after diesel locomotives took over, many Class 25 engines kept running into the 1980s. Today, a few still exist, reminding the world that innovation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet efficiency and extreme conditions. Now, let's jump forward to modern China, where railways stretch across an entire continent. China needed locomotives that could haul long-distance passenger trains at high speeds on non-electrified lines. The solution was the DF11G, but this wasn't one locomotive. It was two permanently connected units working together. Together, they measured nearly 145 feet long and produced over 6,000 horsepower. The DF11G was built for stability, speed, and reliability. It regularly operated at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest diesel locomotives ever used for passenger service. Its extended frame improved traction and smoothness, making long journeys more comfortable and safer. Visually, it looked aggressive and aerodynamic with a sharp nose and bold colors. You could hear it coming long before it arrived, a deep rumble that filled stations and echoed across open land. Even today, it continues to serve routes where electrification isn't practical, proving that size and speed can coexist. But if you think modern locomotives are the peak, wait until you hear about an American diesel that scared railroads with its raw force. In the 1990s, General Electric introduced the AC60W. At the time, it was the most powerful diesel-electric locomotive in the world, producing 6,000 horsepower. It was designed to haul heavy freight across vast distances without breaking a sweat. This locomotive weighed over 430,000 pounds and featured advanced XC traction, motors that delivered incredible pulling power. During testing, its force was so extreme that some railways had to reinforce their tracks. Operators loved its strength but struggled with maintenance and fuel consumption. Over time, many were retired or rebuilt into less extreme versions. Still, for a moment in history, the AC60W represented the peak of diesel ambition. But even that monster wasn't the end of the story, because the final part of our journey leads to the most famous locomotive of all time. Before we reach the king, there's one more giant that deserves your attention. Imagine a steam locomotive so powerful that it could pull enormous coal trains up steep mountain grades without help. That locomotive was the Union Pacific Challenger. Built in the 1930s, the Challenger was massive, but also balanced. It combined size, flexibility, and speed in a way that changed railroading forever. Stretching over 120 feet and weighing more than 1 million pounds with its tender, it was designed to dominate western mountain routes. The Challenger used an articulated design, meaning its frame could bend slightly to handle curves despite its length. This allowed it to move through terrain that would stop rigid locomotives. It produced thousands of horsepower and became a favorite among engineers. Many Challengers remained in service for decades, outlasting other steam giants. Today, one of them still runs, restored and operational, giving modern audiences a taste of steam power at its finest. But even the Challenger had a bigger sibling. Now we arrive at the locomotive that needs no introduction, the Union Pacific Big Boy. This is the machine that defines what a giant locomotive truly is. Built during World War II, the Big Boy was designed to haul heavy freight over the Rocky Mountains without helper engines. It was a logistical dream and an engineering miracle. Measuring over 130 feet long and weighing more than 1.2 million pounds fully loaded, it remains the largest steam locomotive ever built. The Big Boy produced over 6,000 horsepower and used a massive articulated frame to handle curves in mountainous terrain. Despite its size, it could reach speeds over 80 miles per hour. That's faster than most people expect even today. Only 25 were ever built, and each one became legendary. For decades, they hauled freight across the American West, shaking the ground and filling the air with steam and sound. What makes the Big Boy even more special is that one of them still runs today. In 2019, Union Pacific restored Big Boy number 4014 to full operation. Seeing it move is unforgettable. the ground vibrates. Steam erupts into the sky. The whistle cuts through the air like a scream from another era. It's not just a machine, it's living history. But here's the surprising truth. These locomotives weren't built just to be big. They were built because the world needed them. Industries depended on them. Cities grew because of them. Wars were supplied because of them. Every giant you've heard about today represents a moment when humanity pushed engineering to its limits to solve real problems. And that's what makes them fascinating. They weren't accidents. They were answers. Answers to harsh environments, massive demand, and impossible terrain. Some succeeded brilliantly. Others failed spectacularly. But all of them left a mark that still echoes through railways today. When you look at these locomotives now, preserved in museums or roaring back to life on special tours, it's easy to forget how revolutionary they were in their time. Each one forced engineers to rethink what was possible. Tracks were reinforced. Bridges were redesigned. Maintenance practices evolved. These machines didn't just adapt to railways. Railways adapted to them. What's even more fascinating is how different countries approached the same challenge. The Soviet Union chased size for prestige. The United States chased power for efficiency. Scandinavia chased reliability in extreme cold. South Africa chased innovation in water conservation. China chased speed and stability across vast distances. Different needs, different solutions, all leading to some of the biggest machines ever built on rails. Today, modern locomotives may be more efficient, quieter, and cleaner, but they rarely inspire the same sense of awe. There's something about sheer physical presence that numbers alone can't replace. Standing next to one of these giants, you feel small. You feel history. You feel the ambition of an era when engineers weren't afraid to go all in. And maybe that's why these locomotives still capture our imagination. They remind us that progress isn't always subtle. Sometimes it's loud, heavy, and impossible to ignore. Sometimes it shakes the ground beneath your feet. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these massive locomotives surprised you the most? Was it the Arctic hauling IORE, the Art Deco S1, the over-the-top Soviet AO20, or the legendary big boy still running today? If you could see one of them in person, which would you choose? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through the biggest locomotives ever built, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because there are still more incredible machines out there. And you won't want to miss what's coming next. Narrative perspective used. Second-person perspective. Directly addressing the viewer to create immersion and emotional connection. Storytelling devices used. Strong hooks. Curiosity gaps. Escalating scale. Comparisons. Vivid sensory descriptions. Historical context. And cliffhanger-style transitions between locomotives.